Hello, and welcome to the webinar on digital transfer pricing, how to save time, reduce risks, and enhance visibility and control. This webinar is brought to you by Aibidia. We're a technology company in the area of digital transfer pricing. The world is changing, and transfer pricing is not an exception. With international tax developments like BEPS 2.0, rapidly evolving local regulations, and emerging disruptive technologies, keeping pace with everything happening in the transfer pricing world is difficult. But there is a way to be on top by developing systems and utilizing tools that give you full visibility and control over your transfer pricing. And that's what we want to talk about today. My name is Boris Olanenko, and I'm a digital transfer pricing lead at Aibidia. Together with me today is my colleague Sunny, who will be also presenting. Sunny, over to you.
Thank you, Boris. Hi, my name is Sunny Bilani. I'm a digital transfer pricing lead for APAC region at Aibidia.
Thanks, Sunny. So what we're going to discuss today? We will cover the following topics. We will start with an overview of the traditional approach to transfer pricing, what it envisions, its challenges, and its limitations. We will then talk about digital transfer pricing, what it is and how it works, what its building blocks, and what are the benefits of it. We will then have a quick glance into the digital transfer pricing platform, its capabilities, and then we will also discuss the most practical way to consider and implement transfer pricing technology. During this event, feel free to ask questions. We will cover them at the end during the Q&A. I also encourage you to be active, use chat, emojis, and we will also run a few polls during this event. So, traditional transfer pricing. As we dive into the topic of how transfer pricing is done today, let me start by asking you a question. Do any of those points sound familiar to you? So, manual and time-consuming processes, a lack of real-time visibility and control, reactive audit strategy, making decisions based on intuitions and opinions, undocumented corporate If any of those points resonate with you, then you're not alone, and we all feel the same pain when we do transfer pricing in a traditional way. There are all common challenges that companies face when it comes to transfer pricing. For example, manual and time-consuming processes can be frustrating and can eat up a lot of valuable time that could be spent on more strategic tasks. When decisions are made based on intuitions and opinions, there is a risk that they may not be backed up by data, hard data, and analysis. Things like undocumented corporate memory can lead to confusion and uncertainty in your organization, especially when key personnel leaves the company. And then in transfer pricing, we also traditionally use Excel a lot. Huge Excel files can be a nightmare to manage. So let's keep those challenges in mind as we explore the current state of transfer pricing and discuss potential solutions. With the right tools and strategies, we can overcome those obstacles and streamline our transfer pricing process. I also wanted to talk a bit about how current transfer pricing workflow looks like. So it's pretty familiar to all in-house professionals and transfer pricing advisors. In many cases, transfer pricing is about gathering facts and data, analyzing them, and then preparing output reports, memos, local files that include conclusion in a specific format that is either required by tax authorities like local file, master file, or audit notes, or that is used as an internal document. When it comes to gathering the data, transfer pricing experts would usually be involved in fact-finding and financial data extracts. So let's first look at the financial data aspect. It is an important area of the data gathering process where TP professionals or transfer pricing consultants would formulate requests, send them to their stakeholders or clients if we're talking about advisors, and then we will usually help financial specialists extract necessary data from their ERP and other systems. The usual output that we have there is non-standardized Excel file. And there we have also some issues and challenges. So if we are talking about non-standardized Excel files that are where a lot of manual work has been put in, Then there is a potential for manual errors, and then this non-standardized Excel format also makes it quite difficult to scale the process and make it more effective. Fact-finding is another step that requires interviewing the client, receiving descriptive files such as annual reports, emails, memos, policy documents. This is largely unstructured and manual process as of now, where transfer pricing specialist or consulting company heavily depends on personnel and stakeholders' goodwill. So if you don't have good stakeholders that are willing to provide you the data, if you don't have good sources, then it makes your transfer pricing analysis and generally transfer pricing work much more difficult. When we talk about benchmarking studies, it is currently quite manual and subjective process. Some consulting companies and also in-house teams think about outsourcing those activities to lower cost countries, while other companies, consulting companies and in-house teams perform those benchmarking studies themselves. No matter where those benchmarking studies are performed, there is an issue of high fixed costs, so you need to maintain those database subscriptions. You need to put a lot of labor into doing benchmarking studies. And also, due to that, there is a pretty high entry barrier for consulting companies and for in-house teams to get those benchmarking studies. Also, this is pretty subjective process, prone to manual error. I remember the time when I was working in-house and we accidentally asked two consulting companies to perform the same benchmark, and both benchmarks were pretty good. They were covering the same transaction, but the strategy and selected comparables were very different. So if you even have same level of expertise in benchmarking process, you may get very different results. Ultimately, someone also has to draft the actual memo documentation, and this is also quite manual and low value adding process. So as you can see, many of the activities that transfer pricing professionals perform nowadays are not about transfer pricing per se. They're more about manual, tedious work of working with files, documents, and doing a lot of manual transformations of the data and working with written documents like Word files. Moreover, we claim that the process didn't change much in the last decades. Since Microsoft Office was introduced and started to be actively used in the business environment, there has been no general industry-wide change in transfer pricing. So to conclude this part, the challenges that companies face in transfer pricing are numerous and can significantly impact the efficiency and compliance with tax laws and regulations. However, there is a solution to it. And we claim that digital transfer pricing can solve most of those problems. With the adoption of modern transfer pricing tools and strategies, companies can streamline their transfer pricing processes, reduce manual work, increase real-time visibility and control, and also improve decision-making. But before I jump there, I'll hand over to Sunny, who will discuss digital transfer pricing, this whole concept and the whole idea of the new category of solutions that we have on the market now, and what are the benefits of those. Sunny, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Boris. So yes, digital transfer pricing, it's a modern way of managing the transfer pricing function. Moving to the next slide. So this slide gives you an overall snippet of digital transfer pricing architecture and how the solutions fit together. Digital transfer pricing platform is a multi-dimensional platform. Let's look at these dimensions and their interactions with each other in more detail. The first dimension of digital transfer pricing is the ERP system appearing on the top left side of the presentation. In the multinational group, there could be several systems like SAP, Oracle, Workday, etc., from where the data is typically extracted and then analysis and reporting is undertaken. Instead of running this manual report extraction and running it every now and then, digital transfer pricing platform has created a digital transfer pricing data warehouse, which connects with the ERP system of the client through an APIs. By doing this, you are unlocking the direct communication between the financial data and get immediate access to accurate information on the transfer pricing related information. So that's the first dimension, linking the ERP to the data warehouse of digital transfer pricing platform. The next dimension of digital transfer pricing platform is benchmarking, which is appearing on the bottom left of the presentation. In case of a benchmarking, typically you would know that there are various database providers, and these data are pulled from different databases, and then you do the analysis on different platforms. But we are working to create an environment where all this data from different benchmarking database would be available on one digital transfer pricing platform, so that the benchmarking data will be available on a single unified platform and all your analysis can be run on one platform. The next part of digital transfer pricing platform, the most important part, is the data warehouse. We have created a data warehouse, which is a central repository to collect all the data and store it on one place, all your transfer pricing related data on one unified platform. Initially, the data would be extracted that would be extracted from the ERP or taken from the database for benchmarking would be unstructured and raw data. Digital transfer pricing platform provides many solutions and applications that transform, analyze, and automatically you can prepare the reports and documentation using that data. So the next dimension is related to transformation and analytics application, which is also a part of digital transfer pricing platform. We have built several solutions and applications. For instance, Data Studio solution for transforming the raw data extracted from the ERP system or directly extracted via API from the ERP system and transforming it in a reportable format for the purpose of preparing the local file or master file. Similarly, there are other applications of digital transfer pricing platform, such as operational transfer pricing solution that allows the extraction of a data for further processing, like for instance, undertaking group cost allocation or preparing the segmental profit and loss account for a purpose of transfer pricing analysis. These solutions on the digital transfer pricing platform communicate with the data warehouse that is created and will push the necessary changes if required into the ERP system. Finally, the last dimension of a digital transfer pricing platform is the compliance dimension. This is about preparing and submitting mandatory reports and documents like your local file, master file, country by country report, and several other local compliances. Since you have a direct access to all the transformed and analyzed data on the platform in a data warehouse, preparing the compliance documentation is a matter of a few clicks. As a result of digital transfer pricing platform, you get a system which gives you a complete new level of visibility and control over the transfer pricing function in a multinational group. Moving to the next slide, this is about a broad architecture, but let's also look at what exactly digital transfer pricing brings as a benefit on the table for you. The first benefit of digital transfer pricing is time and cost saving. Because a lot of processes which were manual, like extracting the data manually, transforming it in an Excel spreadsheet or worksheet, or preparing the documentation manually in a Word format, is now automated using the digital transfer pricing platforms solutions like OTP or TP documentation module or a solution for preparing the local file and master file. So this brings a lot of time and cost savings. The feedback that we have got from some of our clients is that they save almost 80 to 90% of their time in preparing a local file. So that's the amount of a savings in the time, which will consequently bring cost savings in the organization as the resources could be used for more meaningful and value-added activities. The next benefit of digital transfer pricing platform is risk reduction. Since a lot of processes are automated, the risk of human error is completely ironed out. The next part of the next benefit of digital transfer pricing is visibility and control. On a digital transfer pricing platform, there are various real-time dashboards that are automatically generated, and these dashboards are dynamic to give you complete visibility on the progress of your compliance, and not only the progress of your compliance, but also you can see if there is any statutory timeline that needs to be met in next few weeks so that you can prioritize your work. And you can also keep a check on the progress of the report. Where is it stuck? Who is responsible for that part of the report? And accordingly take an appropriate action. Typically, it is very difficult to have a complete visibility across all the local file and all the compliances in a group, because if you outsource it to various consultants, then you need to interact and manually get that data and information from each of these consultants. But here, it is all available on one platform. Next part is coherent documentation. Most of the time, we have seen that when there are multiple consultants involved in preparing the documentation, and also as Boris pointed out, one instance, a real life instance where they got two benchmarking study for same transactions, all this results into unharmonized documentation. Here on the platform, there is a single source of truth and single source of information, and that is used across all the local files in the group. Hence, it ensures that the output file that you get is harmonized across all the legal entities, and also there is a harmonization in your local file and master file. Uh, Objective and data analysis, objective data-based data analysis. Most of the platform or a technology that you would see in the market are template driven, or even the manual processes are a bit template driven, where you have a fixed template within which you put your analysis for the purpose of preparing the report or for purpose of doing the analytics or working. But digital transfer pricing platform built by Aibidia is data driven. Here you're not working on any fixed template. All you're working is on a data set, which again can be automated and linked to your ERP system so that you don't need to manually intervene. And using that data, software will automatically undertake the analysis and prepare the report. So it's a data-driven platform rather than a template-driven approach. And the last benefit of digital transfer pricing is it's a collaborative platform. Typically, when you have multiple regional managers or controllers involved in preparation of a local file, seldom it becomes very difficult to coordinate effectively with the team members to get the data on a timely manner. Here on the platform, you can invite your team members, work with them in collaboration on one single unified platform. And that's where it brings efficiency in your process of undertaking transfer pricing analysis. So these are the 6 key benefits of digital transfer pricing platform. Let me now give you a quick demo of how it looks in real life. I'm going to just share my screen and switch this slide to my screen. Just let me know once you're able to see the screen, Boris. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible now.
Perfect. So this is the platform, digital transfer pricing platform. As I told you, the last point was on collaboration. You work in collaboration with your team members. So here, all your team members would be on one platform. Not only that, you can assign different level of roles to your team members. So for instance, Pia over here is a limited user, and she can only work on the files for Germany, Italy, and UK. In that case, Pia would have access only to these entities, whereas all other information will be masked or covered. So this way you can assign limited user roles to different regional or a regional tax manager or regional finance controllers so that they can work only on their relevant piece of information and country. Not only this, the platform gives you complete control and visibility on the status of the local file. We talked about one of the benefits as a real-time dashboard, which gives you control and visibility. This is one example of that dashboard, where you could see that all the local files and the name of the entity and the country of jurisdiction is appearing over here. And then you see over here the status of the local file across each and every data point. Ownership is complete, management is complete, whereas corporate market data is still to be incorporated. So almost 81% of the data required for a local file is captured. So it gives you a visibility as a head of tax or a head of transfer pricing and gives you macro level information of the local file status across the group entities. You do not need to coordinate or check that with your team members. Simply go to this dashboard and you have a complete visibility. Not only this, there's another dashboard which I would want to show it to you and very relevant. Particularly, it is very difficult to keep a track of timelines in different jurisdictions. So here we have built in that timeline in the system. So depending upon the tax jurisdiction, for example, in Australia, you need to prepare the local file statutorily by for 2020, you need to prepare the local file by 15th of July 2021. It also highlights if there is any penalty exposure if you don't file it, and is there any submission requirement, whether you need to electronically or physically submit the document to the tax authority. If yes, it will be highlighted in red color and mentioned as yes. So this helps you prioritize your work and ensure that you do not miss any timeline. One more feature where we discussed about the possibility of harmonizing your documentation, and this is one simple example of it, is that on the platform, you create different type of transfer pricing model. For instance, like a contract manufacturing model, Asia. Here you have one FAR analysis and one description for this transaction and one method that you would select for this model. So contract manufacturing Asia, XYZ is the activity that Asian entity performs. Principal entity is PQR performing other activities. You select an appropriate method. So you create one content, unified or standard content for contract manufacturing Asia. And then you simply map all the transactions that are relevant and could be mapped to this model of contract manufacturing Asia. When you do this, software will automatically, like I have mapped over here, ABC India, ABC Poland, and these are the transactions happening between several entities of the group. By mapping these transactions to the model, software will use the same function assets and risk analysis while preparing the local file for ABC India, and will use the same function assets and risk for preparing the local file for ABC Finland. And same goes with the economic analysis and benchmarking analysis. So your effort of creating the content is only once, and then you simply map it against the different transactions which are relevant and should be mapped to this model. Then the software does the job of picking the information and using it for the purpose of local file and master file. So that saves time and it ensures that there is coherent documentation across all the transacting entity. And the last one, before I hand it over to Boris, is this feature, create new year feature. So for instance, you have prepared a local file for your 2020. Now you want to start with the 2021 documentation and master file. With a click of a button, you can simply copy the data from 2020 to 2021. So all your qualitative data, like the group overview, functional analysis, economic analysis, including the benchmarking study, which we provide, is roll forwarded to 2021. And you can be rest assured that by filling few quantitative information, you will be good to generate your local file for the subsequent year. So this one was a quick demo from my side. Over to you, Boris.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. So now the main question is, how do you assess and implement actual TP technology? And maybe before I go into the details and our suggestions and our know-how on building the business case and starting with the TP technology, question to you, Sunny. So you were working within a traditional transfer pricing framework for many years, and you were also helping a lot of our users or clients to start using or transition to digital transfer pricing. So what is the main challenge or the main fear that companies have when they consider shifting to transfer pricing technology? You're muted.
So one of the most common concerns that we had observed for when I used to demo our solution was, I'll answer it in a two parts. One, in terms of how do they transition to this technology? How do they, their files are maintained in Word or PDF or Excels? and now they want to transition to digital transfer pricing. So that was one of the apprehension, that there are so many local files. How do we get it started on the platform? So this is one of the areas of a concern for implementation of a technology when it comes to moving from a manual way to doing it in-house using a technology. And the second issue that I had typically seen in, or the concern that companies had, is that we do not have any advisor to guide us. We do not, if we are using the technology, only technology, how do we assure that whatever is generated from the platform is compliant with the country specific requirement? And to that extent, we have also built in as in our platform the localization feature, which enables to ensure that all the data points required from a country specific requirement will be captured on the platform, and the users are assured that the output file that they get is 100% compliant with the data points required in the jurisdiction. And not only that, we also provide relevant handholding, and customer success team is assigned, a subject matter expert is assigned to handhold the client throughout the journey of digitization from manual approach to digital transformation. So that's how we typically experience, and this is what typically we tell our clients or prospect of how do they transition to a digital technology.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. Yeah, indeed, it correlates to what I have seen as well. And even before joining Aibidia, I was also working in-house. And that concern of shifting your current manual process into a digital way was a big problem, because that's a big blocker for many companies to do it. And if the technology provider can help there, that makes the transition much easier. But let's now talk about, let's assume you have decided that you want to consider transfer pricing technology, and you need to come up with some business case around it to decide if that really makes sense and which technology to choose. So how to create this business case, ensuring that you are taking into account all relevant factors and you're making the right decision. Here are a few steps that we suggest usually for companies that plan to shift to transfer pricing technology or plan to digitalize their transfer pricing, no matter if that's going to happen with Aibidia or any other way of doing it. So first of all, you need to assess objectives. You need to identify what you want to achieve with this technology, such as cost savings, risk reduction, or unlocking new opportunities. From the short demo that Sunny have demonstrated, you have seen how those those objectives could be achieved. And therefore, maybe some of those are more relevant for you and maybe a priority for you in the short term, while others will unlock more value longer term. Then you need to analyze your current process. Technology will not solve all of your problems if you are not ready to also review your process. Sometimes companies have really good structured transfer pricing processes, and then shifting to the technology is just a piece of cake for them. And then it unlocks a lot of new value. At the same time, if you don't have any TP process at the moment, and you don't have any documentation at this point of time, and you have a lot of transfer pricing risks, then analyzing your current process is an important step before considering the technology. And that's where also we have some suggestions, which we laid out in the white paper, and we are happy to help clients there. Then you need to identify available solutions. So you need to research what different transfer pricing technology solutions are available on the market and assess which ones of them best meet your needs. As Sunny mentioned, there are like point solutions which solve only one transfer pricing problem, like generating local file, while digital transfer pricing platform would enable you to digitalize all of your process, and then gain a lot of benefits from that. But you don't have to do it all in the same time as well. You need to be aware of that. We will talk about that in a few minutes. Then I cannot highlight that more, and I've seen so many projects went wrong from my past life before joining Aibidia. When it comes to digitalization, you need to do extensive testing. You need to develop effective proof of concept. You need to really measure time savings that you realize, and then see how those benefits that technology can bring unfold in your case. that's crucial because you do not want to commit to something just based on your gut feeling. You want to really test, you want to really feel it and ensure that it brings you the value. Then you need to get the costs. So that's pretty easy step, but there are a lot of details there that you may want to take a closer look, like implementation costs, licensing and maintenance fees. Is there anything hidden there, or it's just a straightforward flat fee per year? So you need to understand cost structure pretty well. And then estimating benefits is therefore crucially important step as well. So you need to calculate how much time you will save for how much third-party fees. So currently, let's assume you outsource your compliance documentation partially to consultants, then you will be able to easily bring that in-house. So that's a cost saving, time saving from generating many local files, time saving from data gathering, risk reduction due to certain improvements to your analytics and based on past audits. So those are all benefits that you may consider and calculate. Then you just calculate return on investment, and that makes it easier to compare different solutions and different ways of doing things, including your current way of doing things. So you, at some point, you may come to the conclusion that, well, technology is not bringing us much benefit and we still need to go with old ways of working at this point of time. That's also a possible scenario, and sometimes we see it when companies consider doing it because they are not ready yet, or they don't have a necessary scope to kind of digitalize transfer pricing at this point of time. That's fully understandable as well. But for most of the companies, there is a clear benefit that they will observe when they calculate return on investment. Then make a decision, choose the best option, and you also need to obviously communicate it in your organization and go through the proper change management. By following this business case framework, you can ensure that you make the right informed decision selecting a transfer pricing technology, because this is an important decision. This is a strategic decision that will determine how your transfer pricing function will unfold in the next several years. Well, what's the best about digital transfer pricing platform is that you do not need to undertake a massive transition at once. Since the platform is super flexible, you can adopt a milestone-based approach and make the switch gradually. So here are just a few options how you can start. You can start by implementing one solution of digital transfer pricing at a time. Take it one step at a time and don't overwhelm yourself. Let's say you see that OTP, particular problem in OTP, is the main problem for you now. You want to solve it. You don't need to adopt all the suite of technologies or all of the solutions at the same time. You can start with one solution and then consider expanding it. Or let's assume your TP documentation is a pain point for you now and you want to bring it in-house. Start there and then consider moving to other solutions. You can then select a few jurisdictions or legal entities for transition to in the initial phase. This way you can learn from the process and make adjustments later on. You can also start, especially when it comes to operational transfer pricing, with just a few transfer pricing models or intercompany transactions or arrangements. And then by this, you will have enough expertise built in-house, and you will know how it looks like before you expand the scope as well. And then you can also take this approach into a work stream or workflow, or calculate a particular calculation to be automated. So same, it rather applies to OTP, but also can help a lot to just make it more digestible, not create a huge change management at the same time, change management problem, and then start it there and then see how it goes. Before I go with the summary or key takeaways, I just want to highlight that we are also publishing a white paper that is titled How Digital Transfer Pricing Saves Time, Reduces Risks, and Enhances Visibility and Control, where we summarize the challenges of transfer pricing and how digital TP can help with them. Also, there are some self-assessment tools there and some useful information. So please check it out, download this free PDF document, and take your time to look into it. So now let's summarize what we've been discussing today. The first question was, are you tired of the traditional transfer pricing approach and the challenges that comes with it? Many companies face the same difficulties, such as manual and time-consuming processes, scattered communication, reactive audit strategies, and many other issues. But there is a different way of doing things. You can consider digital transfer pricing. By adopting modern transfer pricing tools, you can streamline your processes, reduce manual work, improve decision making, and increase your compliance. Digital transfer pricing brings substantial cost savings, reduces risks, and enables full visibility and control, which allows you to make informed decisions and take corrective actions quickly. So, what practical steps can you take to digitalize your transfer pricing process? First, develop a business case. Identify the areas of your transfer pricing process that can benefit you from digitalization and determine the expected benefits and costs. And then the other important step is to consider a limited scope, milestone-based approach, starting with one problem at a time. This will help you to manage the project and ensure that you see results quickly. By taking those practical steps, you can transform your transfer pricing process and enjoy the benefits of digital transfer pricing. And as our webinar is ending, I'd like to thank Sunny for co-hosting this webinar with me today.
It was a pleasure. Pleasure was mine.
Yeah, and now it's time for a live Q&A. So let's see what questions we have from the audience and jump straight there. Hello, hi everyone, again in the live Q&A. So we are now waiting for Sunny to join us. There is a question in the chat box about segmenting financials and using HR data from the Workday. We would be happy to demonstrate that. I think that would be probably take a bit more time than just in a Q&A session. So we would be happy to reach out to you and do a more extensive demo. But yeah, so segmenting financial is one of the applications we have on the OPTP side, which helps allocate P&L results to the appropriate business lines or transactions. So that's the thing. We would be happy to demonstrate that in a bit more detail. And same about the question about HR data from the Workday. There was also another question in the LinkedIn. So the question was like, how do you really in real life estimate the time savings from implementing the, let's say, transfer pricing document generation automation before you make the decision? Maybe Sunny, you could cover that part before we jump to the next question.
Yeah, thank you, Boris. Sure. I think you need to look at the various aspects or the process involved in the transfer pricing and see where automation brings time saving. So on a digital transfer pricing platform, there are automation at the various stages of transfer pricing function. So for instance, one simple example could be a roll forward feature, which I just demonstrated, where entire data could be from the last year, could be just roll forwarded into the current year. And that brings time saving. So you need to see how much time does your team takes in preparing one local file under a manual setup versus the time that it takes to simply click one button, roll forward all the qualitative data, get the updated benchmarking study, and you save significant amount of time. And that's how you measure. This is one example of measuring time saving. Another aspect could be like operational transfer pricing, which brings about real-time monitoring of your data. And compared to that, the manual approach would be to extract the data in a manual format in Excel or in a spreadsheet, and then analyzing it on a spreadsheet manually, which is also again susceptible to human error. And compare the time that you take for doing one, maybe just like a segmental preparation, segmental profit and loss account doing manually versus when it is done by simply automating that process using operational transfer pricing tool. So that's how these time savings need to be measured as to which tool or solution of digital transfer pricing you are evaluating and or you are using, and each stage will have its own time saving.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you, Sunny. We have the next question, which asks, what would you say the unique selling position is of your solution over your competitor? So yeah, let me probably answer this question. Our approach is pretty different from what our competitors do. So we are the end-to-end platform. So our ambition is to build the platform that will do the end-to-end transfer pricing lifecycle in a digital way, and that includes both compliance and operational transfer pricing side. So if you look at what transfer pricing professionals do on the daily basis, we are building the technology which covers all of those elements. While most of the competitors are rather focusing on point solutions and point problems. The other aspect of our uniqueness, I would say, is that all of the data that is used in the solutions or in the platform is reused across all of the platforms. So if you have your data in one place for TPDoc purposes, you also use the same data for operational transfer pricing purposes. And therefore, all of the data is aligned, and then you have all of the capabilities there to work with the data without needing to replicate it in various places and having this scattered across the organization and across different solutions. There are other things as well, but I think those two are fundamental to digital transfer pricing approach that we're taking. Sunny, the next question was about finding the PDF we were talking about. Yes, so that one will be sent to you at the end of the event in a couple of hours, so you'll receive the link in the email after the event ends. I see someone is also typing the question. So, and there is also a question in the question box. Can we prepare customized transfer pricing documentation? And if yes, can you please share what would be our report look like? So, Sunny, the question about customization. So, to which degree we are able to customize the documentation, and are we able to share the report?
I think entire platform, as we told, it's a data driven. So customization is up to you. What level of customization do you want to achieve? There is no fixed template. It's all the data that you put into the software. Software will prepare a customized report for you. So it will be a customized report. Not only customized, it will be, you can also localize it to a country specific requirement. We have this localization section which enables you to do that. So I would say that you get 100% customized report, and also a significant level of localization can be achieved.
Thanks, Sunny. And on the question about can we share how the report looks like, we are happy to take that and have a short call with you to demonstrate that, how that works, and also how the output would look like. Also, the comment from Robert saying that after extensive evaluation, our competitors are trying to improve on Dropbox and Excel, while Aibidia looks at the entire workflow. Thank you very much, Robert, for your comment. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. Yeah.
Yes, I think that we don't have any more questions, so I think we're good to close the session. Thank you very much for everyone attending. Please check out our white paper, which we will send later on, and don't hesitate to reach out to us to discuss TP technology and digital transfer pricing or any other questions you may have. Have a great day, and bye for now. Thanks, Sunny.
Thank you, Boris, and thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.